My name is Chris Vasquez. I'm a voice actor, podcaster, and lifelong Houstonian. But I gotta admit, I don't know the city and what's happening in it as well as I think a Houstonian should. I mean, if someone from out of town walked up to me and asked me what there is to do, I wouldn't know what to tell them. That's what inspired this podcast. I want to clue you in on news, cool events, quirky things our fellow Houstonians do, what the best new food places are, and highlight people that are doing their part to better this city, becoming real-life Houston heroes. This is Houston Happenings. What is up, Houston, and welcome to the third episode of the Houston Happenings podcast. Let's kick this episode off by talking about some news, and boy, do I have some good news for you. I've got some news for you reality TV show fans, and before you start ranting about how reality TV is just dumb, worthless television that has no value to society, you're probably right, but it's still really good TV. My girlfriend and I have been really into 90 Day Fiancé and Married at First Sight recently, and let me tell you, it is great TV. But anyway, HBO Max has announced a release date for a show titled House of Ho. I hope I'm pronouncing Ho right. It's H-O, House of Ho. It's a docuseries based on a Houston Vietnamese family that's been in production around Houston for the past few months. According to Variety, the series will follow patriarch Bin Ho and his wife Hue Ho, who immigrated from Vietnam to the United States with little money, relying on hard work to establish the ultimate American dream. The power couple has built a multi-million-dollar bank, a real estate development company, and a new generation of American hoes. The series pulls back the curtain on their lavish Houston lifestyle and showcases the tight family connections that unite them, as well as the multi-generational outrageous drama that ensues. The featured family includes patriarch Bin Ho, matriarch Hue Ho, their daughter Judy Ho, their son Washington Ho, and his wife Leslie Ho, Aunt Tina, and cousin Sammy. It promises to be a good watch, guys. Keep an eye out for it on July 16th, only through HBO Max. I've also got some good news for the lover of the arts. Houston Museum of Natural Science is getting ready to reopen this Friday the 15th. All Houston museums have been cleared to open, but only at 25% capacity and only after they submit opening plans that pass state and local reviews. The Holocaust Museum is scheduled to open May 26th, with plans for others to open as soon as June 1st, so that's really good news. Now, guys, they're not just going to open up their doors and let everyone in. It looks like they're going through a very rigorous process of making sure museum patrons will be safe. Not only will they be requiring the usual face mask and social distancing, but it looks like they're throwing major money into upgrading the space itself, such as installing plexiglass dividers, upgrading air vents and fixtures in bathrooms, as well as implementing a scheduling system for entries to limit the amount of people inside the building. Now, keep in mind, however, that the planetarium and theater will still remain closed. Make sure you visit because they'll have on display this spectacular 23-foot model of the Earth that glows from the inside. I got to witness the moon a few months ago, and it was absolutely mesmerizing, guys. Make sure to get those tickets. And local Houston bakery Aranda's Bakery is offering 2020 graduates a free cake. All you need to do, guys, is provide a school ID and also proof of graduation to place your order. I grew up eating Mexican bread from Aranda's Bakery, and it's really good stuff, guys. So if somebody in your household is graduating, go ahead and stop on by and place your order for your free 2020 cake. While doing research for the podcast, I came across some really interesting events that are happening in Houston pretty soon, and I want to talk to you guys about them. So event number one that I saw was really interesting. Roots Wine Bar is opening up this summer in the East End. It's going to be an establishment where you do self-serve wine. You go in there and you choose and pour the wine yourself. They will offer do-it-yourself pours of 1, 3, and 5 ounces, as well as bottles for take-home consumption if you happen to like a particular wine that you tried. Now, This is going to be really cool for people like me that are kind of sort of getting into the wine scene but don't know what they're doing just yet. I've learned a lot from my girlfriend recently who's really into wines, but if somebody asked me for a recommendation on wine, I wouldn't know what to tell them. So the cool thing about Roots Wine Cellar is that all wines will also come with tasting notes. And Roots will also have wine advisors on hand to help you out. So I imagine they're going to have like little cards or whatever next to the wine tab where you can see, oh, okay, well, this has hints of vanilla or cardamom or smoked grapes or whatever. And it's going to be really cool to learn about your wines, what a Cabernet is, what a Pinot is, what the difference between white and red wines, and so on and so forth. They'll also have food that is described by the chef as Gulf regional with a southern touch. They aim to make the food as good as the wine. And get this, they'll also have 3 areas as part of the establishment: the lounge, a huge 1,600 square foot patio, and a private room. I don't know exactly what you'll be doing in the private room, but hey, it's there. They want to make it a point to let guests try out $100 wines with no barrier to entry. So if you're like me and you want to get into the wine world, Roots Wine Bar is the place to be. They're going to be opening up this summer in the East End. Also, get this, guys. It looks like drive-in events are making a comeback. I mean, it's probably because we have no other choice but to isolate from other people in our cars, but I think it's really cool. Local beer garden Axelrad is hosting a drive-in concert on its rooftop on Saturday, May 23rd, and they're going about it in a really unique way. They will be selling only 75 advance tickets to the show, and they will apparently be pay-what-you-want price. You will check in at the venue's front gate and be assigned a parking spot. At that point, they will give you an FM radio signal station, which you will then tune into and listen to the show there right in your car. Pretty freaking cool, right? Keep in mind, guests will be encouraged to wear masks and respect social distancing guidelines if you decide to visit the venue. And Axelrad will not be selling alcohol, nor will there be any vendors on site. This is concert only, folks. Axelrad is using this as a test to see if this is a viable option for them while their bars open up again. Local bands Flower Graves and El Lago will be the acts for the night, and the concert runs from 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. with check-in starting at 6:30. You can get tickets through Eventbrite, and Axelrad Beer Garden is located at 1517 Alabama, Houston, Texas 77004. So if you're looking for something to do on the weekend of Saturday, May 23rd, you might want to check out this rooftop concert. It sounds like a pretty cool idea to me. So this week's food highlight was submitted by listener Nick Quintana. We're talking about a place called SoHo Chicken. He writes, I'm about to pick up food from a Korean spot that is supposedly similar to this place back home in New York City for Korean fried chicken. If it's good, I'll recommend it for you to talk about on your podcast. A couple hours later, he gets back to me and he was raving about them. He says the chicken was sitting in his car for about 35 minutes while he drove home, and when he finally got to bite into it, it was still crispy and delicious. He hyped it up for me, so I said, all right, we might need to give this a shot. So that night on my way home from work, I asked my girlfriend to order some from Uber Eats. We ordered the large SoHo chicken as well as the bibimbap, and I think we got the bulgogi fries too. I'm not sure, but we wanted to try a variety of what the place has to offer. So the driver shows up, hands me the food. I run upstairs and start unpacking the food, looking at the fries, and they look pretty good, looking at the bibimbap and the egg that's in it. Then I hear my girlfriend say, "Where's the chicken?" And I go, damn it. The one thing we really wanted, we didn't get. So I call up SoHo Chicken, and I say we just ordered through the Uber Eats and we didn't get our chicken. And the guy I talked to on the phone was real polite, and I really, really want to stress that. He tried to figure out what happened, because according to him, they sent everything out with the driver. I told him we got a couple of boxes in a plastic bag, but the chicken wasn't in it, at which point he said that the chicken they always give in its own special packaging. It's like a like a cardboard box sort of deal, and it's super recognizable and not at all easy to miss. So they're sure they handed it to the driver, but they decided, you know what, we'll still offer you a credit for an order of chicken next time you come in. It was real nice of them. But I remembered when he mentioned the packaging, I remember Nick showing me a picture of the box, and I remember seeing the box sitting on the driver's seat, guys. Like, this dude made off with our chicken. Even after I asked the guy, hey, is this all, no other bags or anything? And he specifically told me, no, that's it. That's all you're getting. Needless to say, we contacted Uber Eats and gave the dude a 1-star rating and rescinded our tip because that was literally $13 of chicken he just scored. Uber Eats also refunded us the money for the chicken, so we were happy. We decided not to use the store credit for SoHo Chicken because, it wasn't their fault to begin with, and the guy on the phone was extremely helpful and respectful, so we said, you know what, we're not going to try to screw over SoHo Chicken for a mistake that wasn't their fault, right? So cut to a week later, I decide to drive up there myself to make sure I get my gosh darn chicken. But let's get to the actual food. I'm ranting. As Nick says, this chicken slaps, guys. He made sure I ordered the soy garlic, but they also have spicy, sweet and sour, and plain fried varieties, and they do let you do the half and half on flavors if you want that. I've never had Korean fried chicken before, but it's completely different from stuff like Popeyes or, KFC. The chicken I got it's too big to be called wings, but it's also too small to be compared to the stuff you get at Popeyes. It's an in-between sort of thing, like just picture really, really, really big wings. So the draw of SoHo Chicken is the crunch. Man, that first bite I took was freaking otherworldly, guys. It's hard enough that it'll give you a satisfying crunch, but soft enough to where it doesn't cut the inside of your mouth like freaking Church's chicken does. The soy garlic flavor is on point too, but I'll caution you to grab some mints on the way because it'll leave your breath a little garlicky when you're done. Once I picked up my order, I drove to a nearby parking lot and ate there. Guys, I destroyed those wings, man. It's good bang for your buck compared to a wing place like Wingstop or something. Like, I can highly recommend hitting this place up. If you're interested, guys, SoHo Chicken is located at 9393 Bel Air Boulevard, Houston, Texas 77036. It's near Chinatown. And if you do, guys, let them know that Houston Happenings Podcast sent you over. Thanks again to listener Nick Quintana. Keep those suggestions coming, guys, using the hashtag HoustonHaps. And to close out this episode of the Houston Happenings Podcast, guys, we're going to be talking about this week's Houston hero, Mr. David Atkins. Atkins is a luxury market realtor, so he's done pretty well for himself. After seeing a post on Facebook about local Houston restaurant chain Bernie's Burger Bus and how they were struggling due to the COVID-19 crisis, Atkins chose to do something about it. He thought he wanted to help them out, so he decided he'd buy a $1,000 gift card from them just, to show support. Later, he went back and bought another $1,000 worth of cards, but this time in amounts of $25, which he would give out to people in the community. But he thought, man, there's got to be a better way to do this. I mean, even if people got the cards, it didn't necessarily mean that they would go and use them. Plus, that means Bernie still has unused products sitting that could potentially get old and unusable, which means more lost money on their end. So, Atkins started buying actual meals instead. Using Facebook, he put the word out that he would be handing out burgers to anyone that wanted them, just giving them away for free. Eventually, he started doing delivery to people's homes instead after enlisting the help of his 2 children. Now, get this. The first weekend he did this, he delivered 150 orders, enough that Bernie's could pay their entire staff. The second weekend, he did 350. Now, Atkins says he's aiming for nearly 500 burgers. Guys, that is incredible. This didn't come without kinks, though. Initially, he grabbed all the burgers at once, which meant they would eventually get cold and soggy. And, nobody likes a cold and soggy burger, even if it is Bernie's Burger Bus and they're delicious burgers. So he started staggering their orders. Then he picked up some heated containers to keep the food in. And eventually, Atkins and Justin Turner, who is the owner of Bernie's Burger Bus, partnered together to do drive-through pickup of the orders instead. Now Atkins has started partnering with local companies to make this bigger and better. He's doing this all in the hopes of compelling Houstonians to pay it forward and perform acts of kindness such as supporting other local businesses with the money they would have spent at Bernie's, or showing up with donations to the Houston Food Bank when they show up for their order. I think this is a phenomenal thing to be doing at a time where our community needs a little push to be kind to each other. So, Mr. David Atkins, I want to thank you, and I want Houston to thank you as well. Requests for burgers can be made from Atkins' Facebook page, and while you're there, let him know what an awesome human being he is. And that's it for me, guys. That is the end of episode 3 of the Houston Happenings podcast. You can find me on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter as Chris Vasquez_VO. And remember, if you have a story you want to submit or a Houston hero you want to nominate, all you gotta do, it's real easy, guys. Use the hashtag HoustonHaps, that's Houston HAPS, to submit your story and get your opportunity to be featured on the podcast. Once again, guys, thank you so much for listening. Be safe out there and stay Houston strong.